All right, today we're diving into a tech breakthrough coming out of India that has some pretty massive global implications. It's a really cool story about silicon, startups, and, believe it or not, national strategy. And it's all packed into one tiny piece of hardware that, well, it could change everything. And really, it all boils down to this single powerful question. Now, I know it might sound like a bit of an exaggeration, but as you're about to see, developing a homegrown computer chip can set off this incredible chain reaction, one that impacts everything from global politics all the way down to the smart devices you have in your own home. Okay, so to really get why this is such a huge deal, we've got to look at India's very unique, kind of strange position in the global semiconductor industry. It's this story of incredible strength on one side and, well, some pretty critical vulnerability on the other. Just let this number sink in for a second. A massive 20%. That's the share of the entire world's chip designers who are in India. I mean, that is just an incredible pool of intellectual capital, of pure brain power. But, and this is a big but, it also leads to a fundamental paradox. And here is that paradox, right in plain sight. On one hand, you've got India as this global powerhouse for chip design. They've got the talent, the ideas. But on the other hand, the country has historically made very, very few of its own commercial chips. So they're super reliant on importing the actual physical hardware. And that right there creates a huge dependency. So, how do you solve a paradox like that? I mean, where do you even start? Well, the answer, it turns out, comes from a startup down in Chennai that basically just decided to rewrite the whole script. And here they are, Mindgrove Technologies. This is the company right at the heart of our story. And what they did was, honestly, historic. They designed India's first ever commercial grade system on a chip, or what's called an SoC. Think about it like this. It's basically an entire computer's worth of parts, all squeezed onto one tiny piece of silicon. And get this, their journey has been unbelievably fast. I mean, they were a spin-off from the super prestigious IIT Madras in 2021, and it only took them 2 years to go from just an idea to a fully designed and validated chip. That's wild. Their first commercial product, the Secure IoT, is slated to launch in 2025. So the question is, how did a small startup pull this off? In an industry that's famous for needing billion-dollar factories. Well, they used a really smart, really capital-efficient model that just plays to their strengths. They did it using something called the Fabless model. And it's actually a pretty simple idea. Think of it like this. Mindgrove is the brilliant architect who designs the entire blueprint for a skyscraper. But they don't actually own the cranes or hire the construction crew. They hire a specialized company for that. So Mindgrove focuses on what they do best, the high-value design, the intellectual property, not the super expensive manufacturing part. The whole process is really simple, but also super strategic. So, step 1, all the high-value design work, all that crucial intellectual property, that happens in India. Step 2, the actual manufacturing, the fabrication, is outsourced to global giants, a company like TSMC. And then step 3 brings it all back home, where they plan to partner with Indian firms for the final packaging and testing. So, what's actually inside this breakthrough chip? We won't get too bogged down in the technical weeds, but basically it's a modern, really efficient chip, and it's designed specifically for the booming Internet of Things market. We're talking about things like your smart home devices, wearables, all those connected electronics that are everywhere now. And here is the real kicker. This Indian-designed chip is apparently 30% cheaper than similar chips from foreign competitors. I mean, stop and think about that. A 30% cost advantage is massive, and it could make this chip incredibly attractive to manufacturers, not just in India, but all over the world. Now, of course, this didn't just happen in a vacuum. Mindgrove's success was seriously supercharged by strong support, both from the deep tech incubator at IIT Madras and also from crucial funding from the Indian government's design-linked incentive scheme. That kind of backup is a game changer. And this brings us back to the really big picture. Because this isn't just a story about one cool company or one new product. No, this achievement is a foundational step, a building block for a much, much larger strategic goal. And that goal is called digital sovereignty. It's a powerful idea. It's about a nation being able to control its own digital destiny, owning its own critical tech, instead of being dependent on foreign hardware and IP. And in today's world, that's not just about economics. It's a huge national security issue. Yeah, as one analyst put it so well, having your own local IP strengthens your leverage in global tech geopolitics. It insulates you from things like export bans or sudden supply chain shocks. Suddenly, you're not just a passenger anymore. You're in control. And Mindgrove is already thinking about that next step. By partnering up with other Indian companies like Kaynes Technology and CG Power for things like packaging and testing, they're helping to build out that entire domestic ecosystem. It's not just about design anymore. It's about owning more and more of the value chain. So what's next for Indian chips? Look, Mindgrove's breakthrough is absolutely a crucial first step. But the road ahead, well, it's filled with both some serious challenges and some absolutely massive opportunities. You really have to look at the path ahead with a balanced view. The opportunities are obvious, right? You've got this vast pool of design talent, major cost advantages, and strong policy support. But the challenges are just as real. India still doesn't have its own large-scale commercial factories, those fabs. And getting time and space in foundries overseas can be really tough. But you can't deny the momentum. Mindgrove isn't just resting on its laurels with this first chip. Nope, they're already developing a more advanced vision SoC that's aimed at even more complex stuff, like edge computing and automotive systems. That really shows you their ambition to just keep pushing forward. Which leaves us with this final, really crucial question. The Mindgrove story proves that this kind of design-driven innovation is totally possible. But can this fabless model be replicated at a massive scale? Can it really, truly transform India from a country that mostly consumes foreign tech into a powerhouse that designs the future of silicon itself? Well, that's the big question, and only time will tell.